back to roof mapping water civilization restarted, but in a game called Ages of Conflict, which is available on Steam, Android, iOS, and many other devices. While we were gone, something was happening in South America. Major countries have been formed in South America while we were gone, which most of them are very weak. This guy was destroyed by a wall of this guy. They had land to around here. That red guy down there, they had land up to around here, and it was all taken by this guy here, which is basically modern day Argentina, but a bit weaker. Anyway, the strongest country here in South American lands isn't actually the biggest one. It's this small black guy here. He has the most tech with starter gunpowder, which we were talking about last episode. Starter gunpowder is only used by 3 separate countries in this world. This guy has some starter gunpowder, which I use for muskets and stuff like that. And then another one over here, which is used by Tiputan, has starter gunpowder for like weak cannons, muskets, and other stuff. And then something that we don't have in this world right now is made by Visconti. It was used that they used starter gunpowder to make basically rocket-powered boats, but a lot slower than rockets, obviously. They also have what is considered this world's best navy. They're not ready for wars. And what happened last video was Banbridge versus Prelopers and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure we left off with this black guy expanding. These two also expanding and becoming nations themselves. But let's just get into this. Lindhofen is finally going to stop stabilizing, which they're very stable now. They're also ready for a war basically anyone, as they are now the number 3 strongest nation in this world, followed by, I think that the number 2 is Tibetan. The number 1 is the guy in South America, the black guy in South America. Because they have like pistols and stuff. The black guy in South America. I didn't say anything about it, but they do. Anyway, Lindhofen lands on this place, which they didn't know they think this is a massive island until they see those massive ass mountains, because they haven't seen a mountain before. They know what they are, but they haven't seen one before. So it's pretty rare to actually see one if you're from like somewhere like Lindhofen. But if you're from somewhere like Tibetan or Reinheweld, it's pretty common to see one. Here in Nykvika, they had a revolt, which is very expected for how split up they are. All these 4 pieces are split up into 4 separate governments. This place is also a separate government. These 2 share the same government. And yeah, so 2 of the separated governments become their own sort of country here. Sorry about that quick mute stuff, I guess. Anyway, these 2 become their own country, stuff, and they form an alliance. So those 2 are pretty powerful, but obviously not surpassing this guy anytime soon. Eldedge is still basically a Switzerland, but Lindhofen is now I'm pretty sure it's the only country to border 2 separate countries. Which, like I said before, I think I said it before, this guy is one of the lesser known countries in this world. And then Riemenwerld is one of the most known. Tibetan is the most known. Those guys in South America, nobody knows they're here. And they haven't really expanded out of South America themselves yet. Pretty sure they haven't even stepped foot in Central America. But back over here. Is this our first war? I don't think it is. But anyway, a war is going to start between Lindhofen, Twycliffeton, and Reinheweld. Twycliffeton and Reinheweld are going to form a coalition against Lindhofen. Tibetan is not going to like what's happening right now. They're not going to do anything about it, but they don't like it either. Clifferton is going to send out the first attack into Linthofen, which is not very successful. It does take some... Oh, shit. Sorry, I was doing the mic there. It does take some lands and makes one encirclement, but it's not very successful, because it quickly gets recaptured by the Linthofen army near here. And they basically don't even know they're at war yet, because the governor, and the king is still being sent. But yeah, these guys are basically a mix between democracy and monarchy. Anyway, Rinneworld is going to get invaded by Linthofen because the mail has arrived and the king approved an invasion, which the Linthofen people don't really know what a mountain is. Know what a mountain is, obviously, but they can't really pass one. So Rinneworld basically uses what would be considered guerrilla warfare in this world, and they make massive fortifications around these mountains and hide out around them without fortifications in some areas. In areas like over here and here, there's no fortifications at all, and they're just using pure guerrilla warfare to win this war against Linthofen. Linthofen does know what flatland is, though, so it quickly captures most flatland areas from Rinneworld, nearly reaching one of the core cities. They also send out a naval invasion all the way around here into Sicily areas, landing here on Rinneworld lands. Oh, wait, oh yeah, I remember now. Isn't Rinneworld like a puppet of someone? I don't remember, man. Anyway, yeah, so Rinneworld is being invaded by Linthofen. If I'm forgetting lore from last video, please remind me, and I will retake this video and do some stuff, change and shit like that. But yeah, anyway, Linthofen takes major parts of their army from over there. And since there's no mountains here, Linthofen is basically conquering like it's nothing. But there are some harsh terrains around there that they're not used to, so it does take a while. And Rinneworld forces quickly recapture parts of themselves, making a massive encirclement here. Very successful. 2 encirclements to Linthofen. And they're now finished off in that encirclement area. Clifferton was busy in sending out some of their own invasions, which didn't do much, but it did something. Because Linthofen is mainly focused on Rinneworld. Clifferton, they don't have a single navy. They have like fishing boats. That's basically it. They can get around here in the bits they already have. They can't get here. I don't know why I did that, but oh well. Yeah, so their navy is practically shit. Basically nothing in this world. In this world, it's still considered a good navy, because the best ones are owned by Linthofen, Tiburon, and obviously the guy in Asia, which has the #1 in navy, which surpassed Linthofen last month with these rocket boats that they invented very recently. But anyway, this war is going to come to an end with a peace treaty between Linthofen, Rinneworld, and Clifferton. Linthofen is going to annex massive parts in Rinneworld. And yeah, and then Clifferton is going... Clifferton, oh, I said it right, finally, is going to get basically nothing but the land they gained from the war. And that's basically it for this war. Rinneworld is also going to take the land back in their main area near the city. And they're also going to get land over here. Back from Linthofen, obviously. But Linthofen does still have the naval superiority over basically everyone here in Europe. Actually, over everyone here in Europe. The number 3 navy here in Europe is owned by Nike VK. Anyway, 1 second. God. And I am back. Anyway, like I was saying, these guys have the number 3 navy here in Europe. Eldridge number 4, and then these guys are number 5 and 6. Clifferton is basically nothing, so they're obviously last. Rinneworld is right before Clifferton, because they have a shit navy, but they're still shite. They're still pretty good compared to Spike Cliffington, because it was used to cross Sicily to mainland Italy, and also from Sicily to Tunisian lands, I think. I don't even know if that's what I'm meant to say right. Anyway, to these two, which is where we left off last episode, they grow massively, finally getting access to seawater. And yeah, so it's good for them. And our third or second, I don't remember, war is starting between these two over one pixel of land over here. Anyway, it's going to start with this guy. These two are very similar in military powers. This war is going to last a long time. Sending an invasion into Broadstand. Just what I'm going to call these guys. Broadstand also sends an invasion into Skalakan Hong. I was going to call them Hogan. And they also are going to expand even more while they're at it. Trying to get more superiority in many different things. Like water. These two are very weak in water anyway. They're still weak in water. Stuff like that. And yeah, Broadstand becomes what I think is the second nation to have a border of two different countries. Except from over there in Asia and over there in South America, obviously. But yeah, so there's the second nation to get a border in two nations. Anyway, so Hogan is going to send a Hagen. I don't know how to pronounce this. I forgot what I said I was going to call them. Anyway, they're going to send massive invasion to Broadstand, basically using all their army, making them a lot weaker, but it is pretty successful. And they also basically have no navy, because this is the only time they've met water. They did have little lakes, which they were using fishing boats on. And also basically getting all the water from those little ass lakes. But yeah, that's basically all they had for water before they got these sea borders. So they have fishing boats, which they are using as if it was a military tactic now. Anyway, Broadstand sees what Skullhawken did, getting rid of most of their army. So Broadstand sends a massive counter-invasion, not taking up all their army like Skullhawken had. I did say they had a pretty full army before, but Broadstand had more, because they had a lot more lakes. They also had more naval superiority over these guys, because they once killed out a species of birdfish that lived in water. I'm not bothered to design anything, so yeah, they once killed that. Anyway, Skullhawken is going to be left with one water border to gain more water, also getting rid of Broadstand's border with this guy, because Broadstand is very scared of this guy, so they leave Skullhawken with this, and they also make Skullhawken what is this world's first puppet. At least I think that's this world's first puppet. Yeah, this world's first puppet. Anyway, that's how this war ends. This is basically the decade of war, because everyone is locked in wars now. Like I said before, Eldridge is basically a fortress, so this guy doesn't invade him, even though they really want to. I mean, Ninkia doesn't invade him. I forgot you can't see where I'm pressing, unless I use the edit territory thing. But anyway, Rimworld is still very angry at Lindhofen, but they do expand, because they have way too many people for how much land they have. They have what is the second biggest population in this world. Well, number one is this massive ass guy. They're not even that far behind from that massive ass guy. They just follow the coast like they're a fucking sea monster. Getting massive, again, like doubling their land while they're at it. And a new nation has formed down here, which is all alone. it's very weak compared to what we currently have. But it's mainly focused on its navy right now because it thinks it's on an island. This country has, well, quite a lot of history that we haven't even learned of from many more nations that lived here before it, because there were loads more countries before the ones that I currently have placed. Well, they won't. Oh, shit, I've just done that, haven't I? Oh, fuck me. Anyway, I found a new way to fix that. It's kind of cool. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, so there was a bit more tribe-like nations for the ones I have now. But they are the first official nations with, like, monarchy and stuff like that. So, that's why we didn't start with them and started with what we have right now. This guy was one of those guys, but they officially now united all the tribes around them. They're massive. There's a one which I'm not bothered to make right now. I mean, I am bothered, it's just, yeah. Anyway, they are looking for islands quite a lot in a straight-ass line. Luckily for them, they find one pretty fast. It took them like 5 days. But they did find one. Could have made quite a lot of upgrades in your tech in 5 days. These guys are like Bronze Age shit right now compared to everyone else. Basically, everyone now has gunpowder starting stuff. Another nation is 2 more nations actually are formed down here in Madagascar. They don't know they're on an island. They just think they're surrounded by they just think like basically a massive sea until it reaches here. And then the guys down here, which are way bigger and stronger than these guys from the Madagascar lands. Because there are like 50 tribes that united to make this, only like 10 united to make this. Both of the guys here were stronger tribes, but this is still 50 tribes. They're way bigger, and they also are prepared for war. They have 2 cities already. They're still in like the Copper Bronze Age. Oxwell is in like the Iron Age, which isn't that much better, but it's still better. And these guys have way more population than Oxwell. The other guys have way more population than Oxwell. But oh yeah, if I've been covering the mic like I was last time, I'm really sorry about that. But yeah, so yeah, the brown guys have more population than Oxwell. Oxwell has better tech than the brown guys. But yeah, since these guys found out they're on an island, they did focus quite a bit on Navy very recently, which is what led them to find mainland Africa. They didn't do much here, because, well, there's not a lot of oases in here. They haven't found any rivers or water or anything, so they just stayed near the coast. Until one brave expedition team made up of around 10 men yeah, because they were getting pretty thirsty. And they found this, which they quickly surrounded like a bunch of munchers. Anyway, yeah, they did. This took them around 10 days to surround. Expedition teams came out here, including the official nation's expedition team. Came out here to applaud them and also make the borders of the neighborhood a bit better. And yeah, that's basically it. Sorry if you can hear my dad behind me, 1 second. And I am back. Sorry about the long wait. About 20 minutes actually. Anyway, Oxwell Lions, they're on an island as well. And do some naval exploration, looking for another island, or at least mainland stuff. These guys think anything that is completely... So, if they find out that Africa is surrounded by an island, it's surrounded by water, even though it's massive as shit, they're still gonna think it's an island because a continent is not a thing in this world. Anyway, done with these two, which hate each other quite a lot actually. Yeah, so all the way down here near Australia, two nations formed where I was gone. Both formed them. The guy you heard out, the guy that was speaking a lot in the attempt one, which is not publicly uploaded. I might publicly upload it. Anyway, I was trying to make a different video for today. It was called What If Germany Tried It Again? But I cancelled it because I kept covering the mic. It was covered for basically the entire video. After I checked it out, double checked it and shit like that, I tried to fix the mic for last video, which didn't work. I also tried to fix the mic for the What If Germany Tried It Again, which is what I was going to be uploading, which is what I already said, so I should probably stop repeating myself. But anyway, yeah, so these two formed. This guy's basically modern day Papua New Guinea, and this guy is just part New Zealand. He knows he's on an island and shit like that. Yeah, basically everyone does. Even the guys in Europe think they're on an island right now. Britain isn't sure if they're on an island or not, because to them, they have technically surrounded every place except from up there. So if they find out that this place exists, and they don't find out that, like, all the way around here exists, they're gonna think there are. Oh, what is that? A fucking smiley face? Do you all see that? That's an upside down smiley face right there. This thing, bro. An upside down smiley face. I just flipped my phone over. I'm not sure if that flips over for y'all or not. I've never done it before. But anyway, for the last minute, I guess, Eldedge is going to make forts around the capital city, which is basically what this world is doing now. These two are going to expand quite a lot, which is what they revolted for. The main government of that thingy wouldn't let them expand, so they revolted to expand whenever the hell they wanted. These guys expand up here in Scottish areas, taking over massive parts of islands. Those guys expanded in Ireland and shit like that. Anyway, this guy asked the governor, these guys aren't a monarchy, they're governors and shit, asks the main governor for permission to expand. He accepts it because he doesn't want another revolt, and he also doesn't want his current revolts growing too strong. But he does say, you better take basically all of Ireland, which is when why is the country called Run? Okay, hi Run. Anyway, just when some tribes unite into a country, but they're very angry for all the consistent expanding, I guess. This guy also asks Nikkei. Just call this Nikkei. It's kind of cool. This guy also asks Nikkei for expansion permissions. He also allows that. But these guys do expand a lot more than those guys did. I'm not sure why he would ever decline expanding. But it does make a new... These guys also ask for expanding permission. Cancel what I was going to say before. But it does make a new whatever. These guys also ask for expanding permission, which is also accepted because, well, like I said before, the main governor, which is basically the emperor, doesn't want any more revolts. These free expanding did make the emperor and the main part a lot stronger. The main part does also expand more. Technically, the main part has two governors as well, but I'm not bothered to get into this and stuff like that. I should probably make another save, this exact same thing, but showing all the governors and all their lands split up into separate pieces and shit like that, because this guy is going to become a main character. I will say that. Nikkei is going to become a main character. Twy Cliffington is also going to do basically the same thing what Nikkei is doing right now. they're going to make a separate colony. They're going to follow a strip of land down here, make a separate colony around Gibraltar, and then just erase this from existence. Basically deleting their own lands. I don't know why they would do that, but they did. This bit over here has its own separate governor, and then there's a tiny piece of land over here that just revolts because it's angry, I guess. Yeah, so this thing revolts. It's not very strong, so it immediately oh, wrong person. So it immediately expands massively. Now bordering one of the governors for Twilight Cliffington. These guys also don't know what a navy is, but they want islands. They know what islands are. So they create a navy crazily fast, which is way stronger than what Twilight Cliffington has right now. Quickly finding these two islands over here. Also finding this third one pretty fast. And also getting naval superiority even across right in front of Twilight Cliffington's mainland. There's only there's no tiles where they don't have naval superiority here. We have naval superiority down here. But this governor, who's basically a separate government, which I explained before, does actually start making a navy, which gives them some sort of naval supremacy around here. It's weaker than these guys, but it's still a navy, and these guys can't consistently keep navy up in near enemy's borders. Don't mind that rattling you hear. I'm just getting asleep real quick. Anyway, yeah. So this video is gonna end before it gets fucking too long. Bye.